Hey guys, my name is Fabian and from PhotoshopHelper.com, and today I'm going to show you how layers work in Adobe Photoshop. Whether you have Photoshop CS6 or Photoshop CC, Photoshop CS5, regardless of the version you have, they all work the same. Um, so you'll be able to use that tutorial regardless of the version that you have. So right down there we have our layers panel that we're going to use. If you don't see that panel, you go to Window and you click on Layers. Right now I turned that off and I can turn it back on by clicking on that again. So think of in real life, what would layers be? Think about a stack of photographs. You have multiple photographs on your desk and you stack them together. You have some transparent paper, you put that on top and you draw on top of that transparent paper. You have some cutout shapes that you put on top of that. So the layers are, this is what layers are. They are all of these elements that you put together to create your final image. So let's get started. When you first open an image in Photoshop, it by default it creates that background layer which is locked, and you want to be able to move it because it's locked. So in order to unlock that layer is by double clicking on top of it and clicking OK, and now it is unlocked. Um, so for our tutorial, we're going to create a promotional card for a coffee shop online. But before I get to that, let me just show you some basic stuff about layers. So here I have my panel. On top here I have some sorting feature. That's not available in all Photoshop versions, but we're not going to use that today, so you're fine. We have uh, the layer blending mode, and I'll get to that later. We have the layer opacity, the layers fill. We have some lock feature, and we won't be using those as well. And at the bottom here, we'll be using the first three icons, actually the last three icons. We have a trash can icon, we have that little sheet of paper, which is what you use to create a new layer, and we have that folder here is to create a group of a layer. This is just to organize things. And the rest here, I'm not going to cover that for now, but they are covered in a different tutorial. So let's get ahead and start creating layers. So I'm going to click on that, and as you can see, now I have two layers. The one above doesn't have anything on it. It's completely transparent, and this one is our photo that we can move around if we want to. We can rotate. We can do pretty much what we want to do with that layer. And on the transparent layer, let me show you something real quick. On the left here, we have those little eye icons, and that basically, if you click it, it's going to turn the visibility of a layer on or off. Right now it's on, and right now it's off. So right now I'm seeing just that layer, which is completely transparent. That grid, that checkered pattern means there's nothing on there. So I'm going to turn this back on. You can also copy layers and make copies of them, duplicate them. So to do that, you can just take the layer and drag it to that little icon, or you can go up here and hit duplicate layer. For our purpose, I'm just going to drag it down there. And now I have two of these photos stacked on top of another. So if I move that one, you're going to see the one on the bottom in its original position. And the cool thing about layers is that when you make a change on that one layer, it doesn't affect the other layers. So let's say I want to make that photo black and white. So notice that it only made that layer black and white, the one that I had selected. and the one at the bottom did not change. So I'm not going to need this right now. I'm going to drag that to the trash can to delete it. You can either drag it to the trash can, you can just click on the trash can, or you can hit delete on your keyboard to delete a layer. So I have my layer 1 here, and I'm going to rename it as bottom bar. You can rename your layers by double clicking on them. I'm going to name that image, and I'm going to select that bottom bar layer, and draw a rectangle above it, on it. And that rectangle, you can change the color of it here. I'm not going to get too deep into that. And as mentioned before, you have the blending modes here, you have the transparencies, so you can play with that if you want. Let's say I want to reduce the opacity of that layer. And I'm going to use that bar, by the way, to place text above it. My promotional text is going to be placed above it, so it's a nice little support for my text. So let's keep that 100%, and I'm going to move my image that's below it a little higher because my cup is a little too low right now in the composition. I'm going to move it a little higher, just maybe that much. So I have a nice little placeholder for my text here, and I'm going to add a text layer. So layers can be text, they can be images, they can be shapes. So right now I'm going to add a text. So I have my text tool selected. I'm going to select a font. In my case, Montserrat is a font I like a lot. And the font size, let's say 12 point, and it's going to be white. And I'm going to go above. See, above, I have to make sure that I have that bar selected so my text layer goes above it. Click and type my code, my promotional code, 20% off Haitian coffee, use promo code Photoshop helper. I'm going to select my move tool and move that text. See, it's a little too big, so I'm going to go to edit, transform, scale, and scale that down to what I want it to be. Hit return, and I'm going to move that down a little bit and center it nicely in that box. Here we go. Now I want to add a little bit of smoke on top of the coffee to make it look like it's really warm and really inviting and that you want to drink it. So I have another document open here, and it has a smoke in its own layer, and that is completely transparent. That smoke doesn't have any background, attached to it. It's completely transparent. And it's really easy to transfer one layer from one file to another within Photoshop. And to do that, you're going to select that layer, click on that little menu up here, and click duplicate layer. And then you're going to select the destination document. In my case, that's the iStock image, JPEG, as you can see here. And it's going to be named smoke. Let me just name it coffee smoke. And click OK. And that's just telling me that the colors are not the color profiles are not matching. That's not a biggie, so click OK. I'm going to go back to my document here, and my smoke layer is here now. I can move it around, and I'm going to place it right above my coffee cup. One thing to keep in mind is that the order of things here is very important. So if my coffee smoke was underneath the image, if that layer was underneath it, you wouldn't see the smoke because it would be underneath that opaque image. So I'm going to drag that smoke back above it, and there we have it. And then last thing I'm going to add here is another text layer of the URL of the website that has the promotion. The font is going to be different, bigger, and there we go. And here we have our URL, cafepanu.com. They are the guys who sell the Haitian coffee, and I am a co-founder of that website. So check out that coffee website. That promotional code is for real. You'll be able to get 20% off the coffee you buy just for watching that tutorial. So now I have all of my layers. One more thing I want to show you is that you can move layers together. Let's say I want to move that image, but I want also to move the smoke with that, so the smoke always stays above it. If you select both layers together using the Shift key, you select that coffee smoke in the image. If you move things around now, notice that the smoke is moving with the coffee cup. So that's that. And now I'm going to group all of these layers together. So I'm going to click on that folder icon, name it Elements. I'm going to select all of these layers using the Shift key, holding down the Shift key and clicking on the last one. And I'm going to drag those on top of that folder. So now they're in the folder. And if I select that folder and if I move things around, everything that's in the folder is going to move together. So that's it for that tutorial. If you have any questions regarding that particular tutorial or any other thing with Photoshop, please just write it down in the comment section. If you have any suggestions on what I should do next as a tutorial, please leave your suggestions. I will be more than happy to create a new tutorial for you guys about something else in Photoshop. And visit my website. It's photoshophelper.com. Thanks for watching.